Deltarune is a game that has always been so incredibly vivid to me. It's weird because from 2021 to 2025, that 4 years of waiting for the game, I literally went through 4 years of growth. I grew up since I last played the game. In a way, it reminds me of Adventure Time with how it grows with the audience. Honestly, I was kind of born perfectly to grow up alongside this game, and I hope I continue to grow as this game grows. And with these new chapters, I've realized that the game has grown. Something that bugs me about the game is the events technically happen all in a week. At least the Tree Man in chapter 3 says, whether 11 hours or 11 years. Deltarune will be waiting. Which is crazy because I don't know if this is what it means, but metatextually, is Toby Fox saying that he thinks the development team will take 11 years to finish the game? If so, cool. I can't wait until 2029 to play chapter 7. Anyway, with this video, I feel like I need to talk about the specific scenes in chapter 3 and especially chapter 4 that make Deltarune. I don't even know what to call this video though. Deltarune's turning point, Deltarune cutscenes, Deltarune's tone shift. I don't know, but basically that's what I'm gonna be covering. Let's get started with... I love how this scene threw off everybody. So Thomas Flight, he's a film YouTuber. Guys, did you know I have a letterbox account? So Thomas Flight is a movie guy who did a video on good exposition. Typically, this thing called show don't tell is better in movies for exposition, but this is a video game, so we can just ignore that. Just kidding. What he says in the video is that telling exposition can sometimes be better than showing exposition, depending on the context. I think this is one of those cases because Susie directly confronts Ralsei with a problem and Ralsei has to address this confrontation. It makes sense for him to have an exposition dump. Also, the way Ralsei talks during this monologue and what he immediately says after is more important, since the subtext of this exposition dump says a lot more about what Ralsei believes about Darkeners than the whole Darkener reveal itself. What I'm saying is that we already kinda knew that Darkeners aren't real, they're based off real light world objects, and that dark fountains darker than dark stuff was already kinda foreshadowed. We just got confirmation. What we're seeing here, like what we're actually seeing beyond what is just said, is that Ralsei believes that Darkeners really aren't worth anything, which says a lot about his character, his self-loathing, his sadness that he has this knowledge while other Darkeners really don't. Ralsei has to explain this to Tenna. And it also says stuff about his character arc, where he'll go through the journey of trying to overcome this mindset, failing to overcome this mindset, and trying again to prove to others and himself that Darkeners are more than just objects. And also metatextually, I feel like Toby Fox is doing some video game commentary over here, where Flowey/Azrael is like forget about us and move on with your life, which is like commentary on video games and how you should be impacted by them, but you should also go outside. H-Bomber Guy covered this in his Undertale video, which is pretty cool, check it out. I feel like what Ralsei is saying what this whole scene is about metatextually is that you should let yourself be impacted by video games and art in general. I feel like Susie metatextually is being impacted by this world, this art. I'm gonna make this into a whole separate video probably. Another thing that this scene does so well is that it's completely unexpected. Every gameplay I've seen did not expect chapter 3 to start like this. Not only is this great, write exactly what the audience doesn't expect and write that good, it's rare to see something genuinely surprising in popular media nowadays, but this also kind of feels like a tone shift that prepares you for these chapters. It's like the scene is saying this isn't gonna be like your typical chapter 1, chapter 2 games. We're eliminating that structure. Everything is new from this point. Toby Fox literally pulls in all of your theories are wrong in an unexpected but still well written and satisfying way. It's like Fight Club.
It's called a changeover. The movie goes on and nobody in the audience has any idea.
Peak cinema. Okay, so we're already in chapter 4. This was the next scene that really messed me up. Yes, I know the Roaring Knight reveal was crazy, but we knew of their existence already as a villain. It was a crazy moment that was brilliant, but I really don't have anything else to say about it specifically. Anyway, the holiday home sequence in Deltarune is genius, and here's why. This is basically just an incredibly long interactable cutscene, but the difference between this and David Spade or Donut games is that it's actually good and well written, and the characters act like characters. Over-exaggerated portraits of teenagers. Noelle, as a people-pleasing person who has a crush on Susie as a rebellious teen with a soft spot and love interest towards Noelle, and Chris as a traumatized teenager who can rip their heart out, can play piano really well, and is implied to not have eaten in days. Your average teenage cast. Anyway, the scene is great because it plays romantic, comedic, emotional, and action moments so well. It's so well paced with the start where you explore like this is the holiday home, you know something is wrong, but the song playing is just trying to spread a gilded positivity over the whole scene. Then this phone interaction, which I thought was fun, that bird that I hate is there. Then you walk alone with Chris and enter... Oh! Like that's Dess's room and that's the guitar, holy sh. Even if you're not a big Deltarune fan, the silence implies this is something big, something important. The unexpected series of events that follow are as impactful, especially Chris walking out. Everybody who's played this has freaked out about this.
You're joking. You're joking. What the f? You're gonna see. How don't they see that. What are you doing?
Busy flirting. Lesbians don't know how to look away from each other.
Stop! No, what the Chris? Holy shit! What the
Anyway, the scene where the track The Distance Between Two plays is something I'm gonna make a separate video about because this scene has so much to say. This is the show don't tell. We're shown that Asgore is so broke but implied to still be working on the desk case. We're shown how Chris can control themselves without the soul and would probably rather have that, but they can't for some reason. And also, they're working with someone on the phone that'll do what to Undyne? And we're shown how Susie and Noelle's relationship is developing. This is all exposition, this is all a cutscene, but Deltarune does it so well that you don't notice that you're playing one. I love GTA, but as video game Donkey addresses in this video, it's kinda uninteresting getting long exposition dumps through long talks and car drives. This is how you do exposition dumps. Then Chris jumpscares you like they're Foxy from FNAF 2. Then this closet scene where again an exposition dump of tell don't show happens like in the Ralsei scene. It makes sense here because it's Susie asking Noelle questions about herself. Unnatural exposition dumps happen when characters just start talking out of nowhere. Good exposition dumps happen when characters are actually engaged in conversation and interacting. We get so many reveals, but something I want to address is something regarding Suzelle. No one talks about how Susie feels in this moment. Noelle almost shatters both Susie and Chris's hearts here. So if no one wants to talk about the doomed jury in this scene, I will. Susie adores little signs and shows of affection. That's why she started to get along with Lancer and Ralsei and Chris so well. It's also clear that Susie likes Noelle, especially with what happened before the scene. What's crazy though is that Susie views other people's small acts of affection towards others as big as if it happened to her. Basically, her question of, so riding a Ferris wheel together didn't mean anything, is marred in insecurity, jealousy, and love. Like, it's such a paradox, and Susie's feelings towards Noelle are so complex she probably doesn't know she loves Noelle cause, assumption here, she may not have felt this feeling before. Noelle just straight up has a crush and wants her, but Susie's figuring out what having a crush means, and it's all played so fantastically and fragilely. Shout out Doomed Jury. And then Carol's reveal. Carol, her design reveal, her language, the sounds that plays are all incredible. The vibe here is absolutely frozen. Even if you're not a big Deltarune fan, you know this is important. I've seen a few takes regarding Asgore, and if this moment makes it more unserious, to me it's an emotional whiplash situation where you're kind of feeling for all characters besides Carol. It's scary and funny and mysterious, which kind of makes it, and by it I mean Carol's appearance, super overwhelming. Then the classic Susie moment of keeping the Yuri despite Carol trying to make it doomed is classic. The wind sounds outside after this scene is a great addition. Hey, why isn't this in the OST, guys? I thought small tracks were important. Why didn't Toby Fox include wind sounds? That was mean. If you watched this video and /or commented on it, thank you and I appreciate it. Anyhow, the following action with this interaction with Asgore is great. It's funny, but again, you kind of feel an overwhelming sense of dread. After the church scene, this is kind of one of the first examples that this chapter will have you feeling this sense of urgency and dread of darkness throughout the whole thing. Again, I'm skipping some stuff like the old man Gerson thing. Those scenes are all great, and I'd love to read some comments of other scenes, doesn't even have to be cutscenes, that you all like in these chapters or even previous chapters. But anyway, why is the scene so good? The reason is it's a confrontation. Again, we were all suspicious of Ralsei because of some of his behavior, and this chapter emphasized that with Susie's confrontations. The twist that Ralsei might have killed Gerson, but it was only a fake Gerson, and Susie's anger of, why do you only reveal things when they're convenient and why are you so weird about it, mirrors the audience's reaction. Susie as a whole is kind of a stand-in for the audience in plenty of these scenes. She's the voice of reason. She's saying what we're all thinking. I think subtextually, this is also a great way to address and challenge why stories have these scenes, where things are revealed so conveniently in specific scenes in a specific order. And the reason the game provides? It's because the one who knows everything is a shy, lonely, overwhelmed boy, afraid of everything he knows. So lost in his feelings of where he fits in and lost in fear of what'll happen.
Can you please take my white ass to Funky Town?
Nope! Torture City again!
Come on.
Anyway, Toby conveys Ralsei's feelings and stress about the last prophecy with his I can do everything from now on mindset, and his pleads for forgiveness towards Susie for not even lying, but just not always being useful and convenient in the sense that we should have known this information before. All of the dialogue and the animation is so heartbreakingly done. Again, we also get the importance of whatever the last prophecy will be, and Susie's affirmation that you are not alone is some Evangelion shit. It's so brilliantly done, and I like how this little interaction is kinda awkward. He's still learning, okay? He formed his first opinion on that stupid duck thing like 3 days ago. The scene humanizes Ralsei, and I feel like this was so necessary to provide perspective on how Ralsei feels, and it also shows how great of a friend Susie really is. This scene starts with Susie versus Ralsei and ends with the affirmation of their friendship with Susie and Ralsei. The final prophecy, or the last prophecy, whatever you want to call it, this scene itself is fantastic. This is probably the closest I've ever felt to Undertale's emotional weight in Deltarune. Specifically, my favorite scene from Undertale is when the monsters are describing Asriel and Kar's story in New Home as the main theme Undertale plays. That is a powerful moment. This moment comes so close to that for me. The build up to the scene is crazy, it's so full of tension. I love Ralsei's quick apologies and cries of fear towards whatever Susie might feel. Susie's face away from us so her emotion is concealed, but we know how serious it is by her hand bleeding. Then Susie's unexpected blissful ignorance and somewhat insecure assurance to Ralsei, and Ralsei apologetically weeping to Chris is so powerful. And if we choose this option, we can see that Chris cares about Ralsei. I've done a video on this already, I don't want to repeat my points on that video, just know that the entirety of this scene reinforces Chris and Ralsei's relationship and empathy and mutual feelings towards each other. They get each other, a cage and a prince, both trapped under impossible circumstances. Possession and prophecy, traumatized lightener and worthless seeming darkener, ignored soul and lonely prince. It all comes together in this scene where Ralsei weeps and Chris comforts him. It's beautiful, every line of dialogue actually makes me weep, and the eeriness of the song 13 AM here is so well done. That title too, 13 AM, an impossible time, just like where the characters are in. An impossible time. The song is just so eerie and emotional and beautiful, I love it. Ralsei gives his first clear compliment to Chris and assures Chris that he'll be fine. It's great to see well-written doomed yaoi still being made. Chris goes on, and the dialogue between Susie and Chris is also as emotionally heart-wrenching. Susie's dream of things staying the same, even though, as we've seen by the chapter structures, things will not stay the same for future chapters. It's all changing. It's an impossible but hopeful dream. Metatextually, going back to the way things before alludes to the save mechanic in games, you know how it is. Then, this dialogue, and I don't even think I need to say anything about it, let me just do this. Susie's smile, which seemed to defeat everything, shined dawn in front of you, and for a moment, it was as if all the darkness had been blown away. As if in imitation, your soul began to glow. So, I like this game. These were probably the most impactful moments in all of chapters 3 and 4 for me, and it's strange because all of these are cutscenes, and yet Deltarune manages to make them feel so connected to the game, and you love these characters so much that you don't even notice they're there. It's an invisible cutscene, like a movie's invisible cut. It's a mixture of slick cinematography and amazing screenwriting. Of course, there are other moments that hit me emotionally, some Gerson scenes in the ending, but I'll leave that to you, the viewer. Comment the scene that hit you hard or add something to what I said. I love this game and I think these moments are great. The tone shift from the previous chapters is awesome. I can't wait to see what Deltarune has in the future, because with these scenes, the future is looking darker as ever.